Hi, my name's John, and I'm the owner of this YouTube channel. And I thought I would talk a bit today about the 1993 to 1996 Women's Artistic Gymnastics Code of Points, which I consider myself to be an authority on because I have a hard copy that I obtained about 15 years ago from the FIG. This code of points, I would say, was pretty different than the code of points that preceded it. The old system of value raising, which I'll talk about in a different video about the 1989 code, was scrapped, and it was replaced with the connection value formulas that we're familiar with still today and that are still in use. Bonus, therefore, in this code of points was achieved by performing individual difficult skills like D&E skills that were worth a tenth and 2/10 respectively, or by satisfying the connection value formulas and generating connection bonus. That also means that the ROV system, which stood for Risk, Originality, and Virtuosity, was also deleted from this code of points and has not reappeared since. This code of points was the first one to introduce the E category of skills. Prior to this, D skills were obviously the highest. The Super E category that you may be familiar from did not appear until the 2001 Code of Points, and Super E was then renamed F in the 2006 revision of the Code of Points that eliminated the 10.0 start value. The difficulty required to have a full 10.0 start value in this code of points was also increased from 4/10 to 6/10, meaning that if a gymnast fulfilled all of the basic requirements and the special requirements, the base score would have only been 9.4. And to get to a 10.0 would require 6 additional tenths in either difficulty or connection bonus. Next, let's talk about some of the specific apparatuses. On vault, in the 1989 code, a 10.0 start value could be achieved by doing only a Yurchenko full, which is a basic vault by today's standards. Some changes occurred there in the 1993 code. In the Yurchenko family of vaults, in order to get a 10.0 start value, now gymnasts had to perform a Yurchenko 1.5 twist or more. In the front handspring family of vaults, a front handspring front layout with a half twist was a 10.0. Same with a front handspring front tuck with a full twist. In the Tsukahara family of vaults, the 10.0 vault was called a Phelps, pioneered by J.C. Phelps, which was a Tsukahara Arabian layout. So it's also worth mentioning that Arabian vaults were highly valued in this code of points. Or Yurchenko Arabian, for example, had a 9.9 start value. I mentioned earlier that special connections and connection bonus formulas were introduced in this code of points, and there were a lot of them. So let's take a look at some of the ones that pertain to the uneven bars. You'll notice that combining just 2 C skills in a row was enough to get bonus. That's definitely not something that we are used to experiencing today. Now let's turn our attention to the balance beam. Connections of 2 or more gym acro elements. So this refers to combinations of acrobatic skills and gymnastics elements like leaps or jumps. 8 plus D, that's actually a connection that we are used to seeing today, something like a front tuck into a split jump. B plus C, however, this connection disappeared after the 2000 Olympics. That would have included something like a switch split leap into a wolf jump, or something that we would consider to be relatively simple today. Combinations of B and D skills actually earned 2/10 of bonus. And if you think about the fact that only 6/10 of bonus were necessary to have a 10.0 start value, that means that doing a front tuck into a wolf jump would have given the gymnast about a third of the bonus that they would have needed. Looking at combinations of acrobatic elements, we see that there is a special set of connections there, as long as the connection meets a few requirements, either involving a free aerial walkover or cartwheel, or involving forward or sideward acrobatic elements. This actually has returned to the Code of Points recently. Typically, a B plus a D skill in the current Code of Points would not get any bonus at all, but it does now if those are forward elements. So I'm glad to see that this is back now, but it's something that was missing from the Code of Points in between the current code and older codes from the 90s like this. If you remember Lilia Podkopayeva on beam, she used to perform a wolf hop jump straight into a front aerial walkover. A front aerial walkover was actually only a C skill in the 1993 Code of Points, but she would have gotten a bonus of 0.1 based on connection A from section 12.5.2 here. Looking at section 12.5.4, this includes the series that would have been most commonly used on the balance beam. BBC for 1/10 would have included something like a back handspring step out, layout step out, back handspring step out, or as Amanda Borden did on beam, 2 back handsprings into a back pike. One thing that I really liked about this Code of Points that disappeared in the 97 Code of Points is that it rewarded series on the beam that included 4 acrobatic elements, like a back handspring into 3 layout step outs, which, as you see here, would have been worth 2/10 in bonus. This was also possible in this code because there was no repetition rule that got introduced in 1997. Ever since then, you can only perform 2 skills in a row for connection bonus. So something like 2 Tkachevs in a row, which you might remember that a gymnast named Liz Tracas did in the early 2000s, a USA gymnast. Or you could do 2 layout step outs in a row on the beam. Nowadays, you can do skills like a back handspring step out twice in the routine, once during an acrobatic series, perhaps once during a dismount series, but those are the only exceptions. Nowadays, there would be no bonus for doing 3 of the same C skills in a row. You'll notice the 3/10 combination, BBCD. I can remember one French gymnast who used to perform this. I cannot remember her name off the top of my head, but she did a back handspring step out, layout step out into a Rolfova, also known as a full twisting back handspring swing down. Turning our attention to the floor, you see that it was easier to get bonus on floor. Indirect combinations like a 1.5 twist through to a double twist would have gotten a 10th in bonus, which would be unheard of today. You'll also notice that something like a whip back indirectly connected to a 2.5 twist would have also gotten a 10th in bonus. 1.5 twist through to 2.5 twist would have gotten 2/10 in bonus. Looking at section 3.5.2, we see a similar pattern. A whip back into a double twist or an A-C combination would have been worth a 10th in bonus. So would 3 B skills in a row. Actually, in this Code of Points, I believe that a front layout was a C skill. That was sort of another important difference. This code of points really rewarded front tumbling. A front layout with a full twist was a D skill, and originally in the code, a Rudy, or a front layout with a 1.5 twist, was an E skill, and this was downgraded after the original publication of the Code of Points. I suspect when a gymnast from Belarus, I think that's where she was from, her name was Tara Savage. She was either from Belarus or Bulgaria. I'm pretty sure it was Belarus, but she was the first gymnast to do a front layout with a double twist, and then that became the E skill in the front tumbling category. What else is noteworthy here? In section 13.5.4, you see that there was a lot of bonus dedicated to jump, leap, and turn type combinations, making it possible to earn as much as 3/10 of a point through combinations like that garner no bonus today, with the exception, of course, of pirouette combination. Our discussion would not be complete without talking about altered element values in this code, or perhaps skills that were in existence in this code of points but that are now banned. Let's talk about different element values. One major change on the uneven bars relative to present day is that the final ending grip of a skill impacted the difficulty of the skill. So nowadays, a stalder is a stalder, with or without a half turn, and regardless of the ending grip. In this code of points, however, there was an emphasis on L grip or eagle grip, or sometimes called inverted giants, such that if you did an element like a stalder or a clear hip circle with a half turn and you ended in L grip, the skill was upgraded from like a C to a D. And several gymnasts like Karpenko got skills named after them simply because they ended in L grips. There were some differences on beam as well. A Nonodi, for example, was an E skill, or the highest difficulty available. A back layout to 2 feet was only a D, although keep in mind doing a round off into that would have also resulted in a 10th of bonus for a BD combination. Aerial elements like front arrow walkovers and aerial cartwheels were actually lower in difficulty than they are now. They were only C's, but keep in mind that there was more connection opportunities available with C skills. A standing back tuck was a B skill rather than the C skill that it is today. And elements like standing fulls, standing Arabians, those were only E's because E was as high as the scale went. There were some differences when it came to jumps and leaps as well. A standing stag ring leap was a D skill. A yangbo jump was an E skill. And various twisting jumps that have been downgraded in recent years, like tuck jump with a full twist, would have been a D skill. And a wolf jump with a full twist and jumps of that nature were E skills. So I hope that this was helpful, and I'll be making more videos about other codes of points as well.